Do you want to know some secrets for how to deal with your child's anger? I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach parenting and good communication all over the world through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we are talking about dealing with anger. In this video, we're going to talk about anger and why people often experience anger, and then I'm going to share with you some secrets for how to help deal with your child's anger. Anger is a human feeling. We all experience it, but if it isn't handled correctly, then soon it can lead to social and emotional manipulation of ourselves and all of the people around us. In fact, if we can't rein in the anger somehow, then in the moment of trying to accomplish something productive, like solving a problem, we're probably going to make it worse. We all have emotions, but sometimes some of those emotions are productive and sometimes they are not productive, depending on how we process them and what actions we choose to take. So the whole point of this video is to help us understand anger a little bit in our children so that we can help them handle it in a productive and healthy way. Why do children choose to get angry? Well, there are multiple reasons. Sometimes people get angry because they don't know a better way to communicate. I always say people don't know what they don't know. So then it's up to parents to teach children a better, more effective way to communicate their concerns. What types of things might children be concerned about? Well, they might be concerned that somebody doesn't fully understand where they're coming from or what their needs are, or maybe even what they are afraid of. Oftentimes, lack of understanding is the culprit for anger and frustration. Now, many times people begin with frustration as a feeling and then they think a certain thought that leads them to become more angry. It is important to understand with all of our emotions that they all begin with a feeling. Frustration or confusion might be a feeling. Then I think, oh, I never am going to get this. Now I've thought a hopeless thought that now might lead to me becoming even more frustrated or angry afterward. The anger is usually the emotional response, actually. Sometimes anger can be a good thing. We can recognize, oh, we're getting angry. What does this mean? Does this mean that I'm not being understood? Does this mean I'm not understanding somebody else? Does this mean that we need to discuss this? Usually when we feel something, that is a sign that we need to do something about it. But sometimes people let their anger out on other people. This is damaging for relationships and for sure our children, because they are lacking in experience, don't always recognize this. Oftentimes children do use anger as a type of manipulation or emotional control of situations so that they can get parents to lay off or allow them to do whatever it is that they want to do. But wise parents don't fall for those tricks and they decide to teach their children how to manage their anger and their outbursts instead. So how do you do that? Well, if you have been looking at videos on this channel before because you're subscribed to it, then you probably have recognized that there is a theme here of self-government. This is the Teaching Self-Government YouTube channel after all, and the videos on this channel are dedicated to helping a person analyze themselves and make plans for their future. In fact, the definition of self-government is being able to determine the cause and effect of any given situation and possessing a knowledge of your own behaviors so that you can control them. That means that a person deliberately decides what they want to do with their feelings, thoughts, and behaviors. They decide whether they were good or whether they need to be corrected and moved in a different direction. That's what a self-governed person does. So when a parent is working with a child with anger issues, then what they need to do is help the child get to a place where they can analyze and follow through with a plan that might be different than the habit they've already formed to have anger every time the same situations occur. So how do we go about setting up a plan with the children? I suggest having what I call a parent counseling session. In my teaching self-government support group, I answer people's questions every week, and I'm consistently talking about how to have a good parent counseling session. A parent counseling session includes 14 steps that helps a child get from one place of not understanding or knowing to a place of understanding or knowing in a calm way where they can also invest in whatever the solutions are going forward. This is a very powerful skill set for parents to have. It makes it so parents do not need to get emotional or take things personal. In fact, that's the worst thing for you to do. If you have a habit of taking the behavior of your child personally, getting emotional, fighting back, and power struggling with your child, this will not help to curb those angry outbursts that you are so concerned about. You need to get yourself to a place of calmness, and I'll help you with that in just a little bit. So if you are completely calm, then you are at a place where you can teach your child the skills that they need for calmness and help them recognize when they are starting to go off track or into this land of anger and out of control. There needs to be a structure in place. I don't know if you've ever grown peas, but I am a gardener and I grow a lot of things. Now, peas are very interesting because they need to be grown on a framework of some sort. Otherwise, they end up getting all rotty and messy in the dirt, and they really don't get pollinated well or grow well. Sometimes the plants just break off. The vines of the pea plants are so brittle, they break so very easily. But if the peas are being held up by a trellis of some sort and they hold on to it, then no matter how they move around in the wind, they're not going to go that far because they have something to support them. The children, just like pea plants, have to have a framework to hold on to in order to be completely stable. If you just let them on the ground and they move around all the time, they might snap and break. What do we do for the children? We teach them what calmness is, what it isn't. We help them analyze what it feels like for them when they are calm. We have them describe that to themselves and to us. When you are calm, what thoughts are you thinking? When you are calm, what is your face doing? What are your hands doing? What is your body doing? What does your calm body look like and feel like? Once we have determined what their calm body, face, and calm voice all feel like, then they can have a baseline for calmness. Now we have to decide, if I'm ever not being calm, what can I be told to be encouraged to go to my calmness baseline? Well, it might even be as simple as using the word calm or let's get to calmness. And then to be instructed to take a deep breath. Deep breathing is the #1 thing that you can do to help yourself regulate and get into the right part of your brain so that you can start thinking again. I usually tell my children that they need to take 3 deep breaths. And there's a reason for that. 3, because they have to count. That's prefrontal cortex activity. Deep breathing. Deep also makes them have to focus on what their breathing is like. And then breathing, well, that's going to happen automatically anyway. So since they're automatically going to breathe, might as well just put numbers on it and say, let's have it be deep. Especially when that is the #1 thing that's going to help them get back to that front brain activity. You talk about the deep breathing exercises and what it does for the brain. Teach your child what happens in their brain. Now, I have multiple videos on this channel where I talk about brain function, what happens when a child is having an out of control episode. When a child is in the back part of their brain, they do not have much capacity to think. They need to know that. They need to know why the front brain is so important to stay in and how powerful it can be for them. They also need to know what skills they can use to be successful. So in the Teaching Self-Government Parenting System, we teach 4 basic skills. They are following instructions, accepting no answers and criticism, accepting consequences, and disagreeing appropriately. When a person learns these 4 basic skills, that takes care of 99% of their behavioral problems. The 4 basic skills each have a skill set attached to them, and the second step of each one of those 4 skills is to keep a calm face, voice, and body. So understanding calmness leads then into being able to do the 4 basic skills of self-government. Now we're most of our way to calmness and curbing some of these angry outbursts. Just think, if I can talk about things in a way where I can disagree appropriately instead of be angry. Sometimes children are angry because they're trying to disagree about something, but they don't know how. What if you taught your child to think, I need to disagree appropriately about this. And they ask, Mom, may I disagree appropriately? And you tell them you will always say, yes, you may, unless you just disagreed appropriately about that very thing, in which case you're not dropping the subject. So I would say, yes, you may. And then they go through their disagreement and they get their way most of the time. Now, there are 7 steps to a good disagree appropriately, so be sure you teach your children all those steps so that they seek to understand other people instead of just expressing themselves all of the time. Because just expressing yourself is not the same as disagreeing appropriately, even if you do it with a calm face, voice, and body. So you teach your child how to do these 4 basic skills, and then you prepare your child with your skill sets. That's right. You're going to teach your child the 5 skill sets that you will use to help parent them. There doesn't need to be any surprises. In a self-government family, there are no surprises. Everyone knows all the skills. That way, no manipulation happens. It's high predictability, low anxiety, and everybody is able to self-govern better. The parents can focus on being calm. The children can focus on being calm. Everyone can end up more united and understood. Now, when your child goes completely out of control, when they are screaming, kicking, fighting, yelling, those are definitely angry behaviors. You want to be prepared to do some good intensive teaching. So our children also need to learn the why of feelings. Why are they having certain feelings? Is it normal to have certain feelings? The answer is yes. Feelings are very normal for people. They also need to learn how to describe their feelings to other people. So being able to say, I feel frustrated. That's going to be an important thing for them to be able to express to you or to themselves, because one of the ways of stopping an angry outburst is being able to say to yourself, I feel frustrated. I need to get calm. I need to go through my calm plan. And of course, we're going to have a calm plan for them, right? Probably one of the most important secrets that I could share with you is this. After your child has been going out of control, you use something like an intensive teaching skill, like the rule of 3, to help them get calm again, and then they come back into control. It is vital that you talk about whatever it was that led to the situation. They needed to be understood about something. Make sure that you do that part. Now, I'm quite sure that you might want to learn more about those 5 skills that the parents need. And if so, then I highly recommend you watching my next class, which is a full-length class called The Not So Known Secret for Parenting Success. Click on the link to that video now. I'll see you there.